See if I can get this to work. There we go.
Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews. We are doing episode, 4 of the Die Hard discussion streams. We will be discussing Live Free or Die Hard. And with me, I got AFK Bard. Welcome back.
Hello. Nice to be.
Yep. Sorry. And I got the sexy goth girl, Caroline. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are y'all?
All right, I'm good. So, Caroline, I am going to mute whenever you're not talking. You can unmute when you need to say something. So I'm going to mute you so there's no echo, okay? Alrighty. So we have Live Free or Die Hard. A lot of people have given this movie a lot of guff. Hail, Soul Assassin, how you doing? And a lot of people say, oh, it's the weakest one. I'm like, I honestly don't see how it's weak. This actually does measure up to the previous 3. Now, the 4th installment does put John McClane in a very out-of-his-element predicament. Also, he's dealing with an estranged daughter because Lucy has all grown up from being, what was the third? When was Die Hard with a Vengeance? I believe that was mid-90s. And this one comes out geez, I forget what year this one came out. But anyway.
2009? 2000?
Yeah, 8 or 9. So it's pretty much 15 years later from With a Vengeance. And one of the things that I noticed was Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Vengeance is 95. Thank you, Soul Assassin. Mary Elizabeth Winstead plays the daughter, plays Lucy Gennaro, but also she calls herself Lucy McClane. So I also found out that Ewan McGregor cheated on his wife with, I don't think it's the best of the series. I think it's the 3rd best. First Die Hard for me is incredible. I love the one with Samuel L. Jackson. That's the 3rd. And this is my 3rd favorite. Nice, Thomas. Good to see you, and thank you for stopping in.
Aw, hey, Thomas. Oh,
no. So where was my turn? Oh, yeah. Ewan McGregor cheated with John McClane's daughter, basically, on his wife. So it's how has John McClane not yippee-ki-yay MF'd Ewan McGregor? But yeah, so yeah, that's an interesting note on the casting. But this movie actually does have a great cast. I mean, let me just get my talking points all the way down to the bottom because I have all the castings. I mean, obviously, Bruce Willis, you got Mary Elizabeth Winstead, you got Sung Kang, who plays Han from Fast and the Furious series. You got Cliff Curtis. Everybody knows Cliff Curtis. He's basically in every other movie there is. Maggie Q and Tim Oliphant playing the baddies in this one. So, yeah, this movie does measure up with the casting. So, to kick things off, basically, hackers and code writers are being killed after doing some nefarious crap for what is yet to be known as the bad guys. The FBI cyber division gets shut down shortly after. They call for all the black hats to be brought in. John is kind of peeping on his daughter, watching her make out with her boyfriend or not boyfriend. It's confusing. In the car, and as soon as the boyfriend starts to get fresh, he just pulls him out of the car. It's like, no means no, you jackass. So that whole scene was actually quite hilarious to watch, especially to
That's something I would do to my kids.
Yeah. I
Having
mean,
2 daughters, I would totally do that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It was fun seeing kind of John McClane switch into a dad mode version of himself, basically.
Exactly. It's something that you haven't seen because we haven't really seen a dynamic between his kids because the only time you see the kids are in the first Die Hard, and they're little. I mean, shoot, they're around my age, if anything, because Mary Elizabeth Winstead is around my age. I think she's actually is my age. Alexa, how old is Mary Elizabeth Winstead?
Mary Elizabeth Winstead is 36 years old.
Oh, she's a little
She
older.
was born on November 28, 1984.
Yep. She was born.
She's around my age.
I had to mute myself because you set mine off at the same time.
Yeah. Apparently, we're all getting echoes now. But anyway, so believe it or not, the age actually kind of works because 87 or 88 was the first Die Hard, which would have put her around 4 years old. So that's the kind of age that she actually looked in Die Hard, the daughter of Lucy McClane.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, this does actually seem like the age that she would be at. So I forgot to put up my banner.
Sorry.
Hello, little doggy.
Oh, Jacob says hello. He's sorry he cannot be here.
Alrighty then.
He's working 6P to 6A at the prison.
Well, yeah, they don't care about those hours.
No, they don't. And they're currently mad at me.
Sorry to hear that. Sorry. Alrighty. So then, after he gets yelled at by his daughter, and he gets radioed by his coworker. He's like, "What are you doing over there?" In the records, he's like, "Oh, you know, we'll check the turn on."
Oh, sorry, golly.
And no, John, it's not something you're trying to. Look, we need you to go get down the stairs to get a kid. Or get some hacker pumpkin, whatnot. What's that you say? Yeah, I know, right? That's basically what his dog is saying.
Hey, I think your voice is getting funky, but I don't know. Does he sound funky to you? Okay, I was trying to say it, but every time I unmuted, my dog barked, which was just ridiculous timing. But yeah, Orange, you were
sometimes
you're sounding much better now. Yeah.
Yeah, the sound of my it's basically a fluctuation in the Wi-Fi, I'm guessing. Or it's just because of a stupid camera that just doesn't want to work anymore. But yeah, so they wanted to go down and get this kid named Matthew Farrell, played by Justin Long, who everybody knows is the guy that got his eyes cut out and eaten by a creeper in Jeepers Creepers. So is my voice cutting out again?
Yeah, it is kind of.
It's very, very odd and very like robotic and garbled.
80s kind of futuristic robot voice.
Very much true.
Okay, I'm gonna have to try to. Well, I'm gonna have to go with that. I'm going to have to take off the camera and the microphone. Hold on, folks. I'll be right back.
Okay, we'll hold the fort.
I mean, 2 women on his live stream. I think they'll be happy.
Yeah, man, we'll make it explode.
I mean, every time I move, the girls show. So I think the guys are happy.
It's a beautiful show. I speak for them. And for myself, I should say.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, man.
I bought a brand new corset. So
that's really cool. I bet it's like a lot of places like this.
Scarlet corset.
Nice.
That's where I got this from.
Cool.
Nice.
Okay, am I
Sorry,
coming in?
we were having a little conversation while you were gone.
Am I coming in clear now?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, hopefully it stays that way.
I hope so.
Yeah. So yeah. Then we get to Farrell talking to Warlock on his computer, and the bad guys are outside uploading a virus attached to the C4 wire to his computer, and he's inadvertently saved and interrupted by John McClane when the bad guys go to Plan B and try to kill him directly. Now, this movie was directed by Len Wiseman, and Len Wiseman, along with Zack Snyder, liked to use certain background actors and stunt actors in their movies. And one such is Rich Citrone, who is the guy that actually makes it through the door to try to kill the kid.
Oh, nice.
And he also has played in Man of Steel as one of Zod's men, and he also plays many of the Lycans in the Lycan suits in the Underworld series. So yeah, a bit of background on him. He played, I think, Pierce in the first Underworld movie.
Mm-hmm.
One of the naked werewolf guys clawing at each other in the sewers. But yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch these naked guys.
So, watching the unrated edition, there is an extended scene because in the trailer you actually see the scene that is in the scene or the extended bit where he throws the blanking on what it's called, fire hydrant. Yeah, fire extinguisher. Sorry, and he shoots it, and the guy goes out the water, and that's when he says, "That's going to wake the neighbors." That's actually in the trailer, but it wasn't in the theatrical cut.
Oh, really? Huh,
Yeah. So it's like, so that's where that scene was. Okay. Also, the guy that is the sniper that is shooting at Matt Farrell when he tries running from McClane, he is also, or you hear him speak French a lot in this movie. That's because he is French. He is also in a movie called Kiss of the Dragon with Jet Li, where he and Jet Li have a pretty big freaking fight. Which was actually
That
cool.
is an awesome movie and an awesome fight scene. If y'all have never seen it, y'all should go watch it.
Yeah.
I've never watched a single Jet Li movie.
You don't know what you're missing, AFK.
I know, right?
So, I can send you a screen pass if you have movies anywhere.
Oh no, it's just like one of those genres I always steered away from. That and like the mobster movies. I don't like that kind of stuff.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so they finally get him out, and as they're driving away, he's like, "Did you see it? Yeah, I saw it. I did it." That was actually a pretty good line. But then something happens that is totally out of the blue that you never seen McClane do before. He gets on the radio, calls for Jersey Dispatch, and says, I need to report a police shooting in your jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's in Jersey, remember. And it's like, he's never done that before? So, it's like, holy crap. Isn't Len Wiseman the guy who made The Mummy and Van Helsing? No, that is not Len Wiseman. That is Steven somebody.
I would give it to him as an off night because he just witnessed his daughter making out with some punk, So maybe it's like, he's not all there. So it's like, maybe I can't take it on myself.
Yeah. And also, it could be just that he's actually grown as a cop and doesn't want to lose being a detective. But yeah, Len Wiseman. Yeah, Len Wiseman was married to Kate Beckinsale, lucky bastard. I thought he still was.
Dude, yeah. Yeah, no, he does have that kind of more weary feel to him versus the other movies.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Roger Murtaugh effect, where he's
exactly.
almost like, I'm tired of this.
Yep, he's getting too old for this shit.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, Len Wiseman married to Kate Beckinsale. Kate Beckinsale, only 2 actors in their lives have ever found themselves with their head between her legs.
That we know of.
Yeah, that we know of. Colin Farrell. And
I'd like to be between her legs.
Hugh Jackman. Well, who wouldn't? I mean, Kate Beckinsale is pretty hot. But anyway, back to the movie. So, what did you guys think of the shootout in the apartment and whatnot? We'll start with AFK first.
I really enjoy scenes like that. I like the tactile feeling, it's kind of, I don't know, when there are like fight scenes out in the open and stuff, they always feel way more like CGI and faked because they have the ability to do it. But like in scenes like this, you can see that, they took the time to like plan how items would fall that they would interact with, the wood exploding around them, like bullet holes accumulating in like refrigerator. Like the whole thing to me was like super fun to watch.
Yep. Alrighty. Dr. All. Unmute.
I you know me, I love any sort of explosions, any sort of fight scenes, gun scenes, anything like that. Because that's the type of person I am. But for me, at first it was kind of like, oh gee, here we go again. This is gonna be hokey. And then of course I haven't watched it in like, I guess I watched it like a couple of times when it first came out, so it's been quite a few years. But I actually found myself enjoying it more than I thought I would because of how it's done. It's done in such a way that you're like, oh, you're like literally watching like his action figure fall off when it gets hit and hits the key, the delete key. It is showing all these different things that are happening to his apartment. It's one of my favorite scenes.
Alrighty, and so let's see here. I'm gonna just empty out the first talking and second talking point because we actually got through them. Now, the cyber terrorists, we're going to call them CTs for short, basically. Or, well, we can call them cyber terrorists in the stream because I only put CTs in the talking point to save up space. But yeah, they begin the first stage of their plan after McClane ends up arrives in DC with Farrell. And start basically roboting.
it cleared up. I don't know. It
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, McClane arrives with the kid in DC, and that's when the Secretary of State just basically take over traffic control and shut them down, turn all the lights green, red, green, over and over, basically causing a lot of congestion and a lot of problems with all traffic venues. So this is basically they're causing, or they're anarchists, basically.
Carmageddon.
To give you yeah, basically. So then, while this is happening, Farrell is also telling McClane about how the media is basically full of shit, and I'm like thinking, or how to keep you living in fear and whatnot, and I'm like, oh my god, they predicted today.
Oh no! Can I just say I laughed out loud when I was rewatching that because I remember at the time thinking he sounds super paranoid and that's hilarious. But now I laugh because I'm like, oh my god! But now it makes sense.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
It's like, holy crap! They actually it turns out that, well, Matt Farrell's not exactly wrong. And so they finally get to the FBI Cyber Division's thing, and they're realizing what the hell is going on. And he's like, oh my god, it's a fire sale. He's like, what? A fire sale? And so Cliff Curtis is like, hey, keep your voice down. We don't know that yet. And he's like, what's a fire sale? Basically, it's a 3-step attack on America's infrastructure. Still here, just watching patrols. Thank you, Soul Assassin. And the 3 stages basically are, you take down transportation. Then, which they start implementing stage 2 at this point, you go after the money, America's finances, which they literally crash the market while this is going down. And you see them all, or you see all the scalpers panicking. And then the third one is basically utilities, gas, electric, all the things that keep the country running and heated up and whatnot, even including nuclear. So imagine shutting down a nuclear facility or a nuclear power facility. That would cause a meltdown and probably kill a billion or millions of people or thousands of people, or depending on, well, the weather and how the fallout blows around. But yeah, I do love how Cliff Curtis goes up and he's like, nobody's talking about a fire sale here. Now, unless you are helped plan one, don't keep your mouth shut. And he's like, or we got this. We can do this. Yeah, you don't bang up jobs so far. What? No, I mean, I understand. I just love how he freaking just is a wise ass to everybody. Justin Long in this. How you doing, Fenrir Fryer? So then comes up the next action moment where they're trying to go over to DHS, Department of Homeland Security. And Maggie Q has started to impersonate the dispatch. And he's like, I had no idea that I was going to be an accessory to Armageddon. And that is like one of the best lines in this movie. And I even actually had it quoted so I actually wouldn't lose it. And it's like, oh my god, dude, that is just such a brilliant line. But then he recognizes Maggie Q's voice and outs her to McClane, and he's like, all right, shush. Hey, dispatch, how's it going over there? It must be crazy with all those 587s going on. Yes, sir, we had to bring in call in all units. Yeah, you had to call in all units for all the naked people running around? Cut the bullshit, honey, and put your boss on. It's like, oh, damn, that was the perfect setup. And you can see that she's like, oh my god, I can't believe I fell for it. Maggie Q Isn't Maggie Q related to Jet Li? I honestly do not know. That would be something that you could look up, Soul Assassin. But yeah, so then McClane gets to talk to the bad guy in charge, Tim Oliphant, also known as Thomas Gabriel.
Yeah, he's justified.
Yeah, and he's like, Officer McClane. It's Detective McClane, jackass. Sorry, Detective. And then he just starts going down McClane's living information and all that stuff. Oh, look at that. Your 4OK no longer exists. And McClane doesn't care. He's like, oh, okay, big whoop. My life is shit anyway. But it's like, how's Holly? Oh, wait, you're divorced. Must have been pretty hard on Lucy and Jack. And he's just going, he's like, yeah, don't you worry about it, asshole. Once I'm done with the skid here, he's like, well, we're at the kid. How about this? Put a bullet in Farrell's head right now, and your kids will be set for life. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to have to take a pass on that. And he's like, you're a Timex in a digital age, John. You're out of your league. He's like, we'll see. So then the shootout starts with the helicopter, as we all know. And the feds try to kill it. This guy is just very good. It seemed to me that this helicopter had infinite ammo. Because I did not see that dude stop shooting once to change a mag. And it's like, that is a full auto rifle he is shooting. So, yeah.
Well, you know,
It's that gunfight movie thing that you get when you're in this epic gunfight and you never see your hero or the villain reload.
Exactly.
But magically they have all this ammo.
Yep.
Even though the villain doesn't even call for an ammo belt. And you're just like, what the fuck?
And so then they keep following him, and he's like, hold on 1 second. So he runs over a fire hydrant, and the water cascades upward and literally shoots the dude out of the freaking helicopter, which is funnier than hell. And that
was a good takedown.
Yeah, it was. And so he's like, yeah! And then he just drives off. Now, in the first one, or in the bloopers, they're a blooper reel, which is awesome. So in the bloopers, it's like, it's raining cats and dogs, and apparently men! It's hilarious. But yeah, so they get to the tunnel, and Gabriel's like, pull up the schematics on that tunnel. The guy looks up, the tunnel! And the way that he just says it, he's like, the tunnel! And I'm like, oh my god, dude, that's hilarious, but creepy at the same time. He causes all traffic to just converge into a blacked out game of chicken to try to lure McClane out, or to get McClane and Farrell out of the tunnel. And I'm like, oh my god, dude, this is seriously just all wrong. This dude has a lot of power at his hands. He also is not afraid to kill people.
Yeah.
So this tells you just how dangerous this character is. And so, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna agree. That's cool.
No, you go ahead.
I really like. I can't say his last name. I always get it wrong. But Timothy's portrayal of this character. It's basically a guy with a very simple mission who is like, really, he's just dead set on like proving his hypothesis basically. And
yeah.
I kind of like that because it just gives him this detached feel to everything else where it's just like, yeah, fine, shoot him in the head, I don't care, or like blow it up, or I don't care. I mean, it seems really excessive to blow up houses to kill hackers, but you know what, he's getting the job done. And I like those scenes where he's chill, because you know, when he gets to the point where he's not so chill anymore, then you know shit's gonna go down.
Oh yeah. And so basically, the kid runs out of the car and he's like, "Wait, get back here!" And they end up having to run because, well, the kid was an idiot and got out of the car. And then you see two cars coming at him and one car flipping out, and that scene was pretty freaking nuts, where they had to duck and just to make sure the car didn't land on him. So then he's like, "You stay here! I'll be back. You can't be a uniformed John. Has to be a senior detective. The feds owe us we owe the feds a favor." That's when John is just going off on his tangents like he usually, or like he did in the other movies.
Mm-hmm.
I just love that he's like, "You think dropping a car is going to work on me? I got something for you." And he launches the damn car into the freaking helicopter. I'm like, holy shit, dude. So you just killed a helicopter with a car. Yeah, ran out of bullets. So then they pop up, or they have to get, or everybody thinks that Farrell and McClane are gone because the French guy with unlimited ammo jumped out of his ammo cache when the car decided to run over it all, and he thinks that they're dead, so they're no longer on the grid. So then they try to go to a police station. It's useless there, so they get out of the police station. They are by a diner, and they're trying to call Bowman, and they see a second cyber terrorist message. The first one was all the different presidents telling them that what is about to happen is not, or you can't stop it. So then they have the other one. It's like, what would happen if all the world's planes just fell out of the sky? What would happen if you called 911 and nobody was there to answer? This is what's going to happen. And then they blow up the frickin' Capitol building on the screen, and everybody freaks out. Now, you know why everybody freaks out. This movie takes place after 9/11. So, yeah, this movie basically brings back the whole terrorist element of, holy shit, did they just succeed? So when everybody starts running to see if the Capitol building is still there, it's like, oh my God, did they just seriously go there in this movie? Thankfully, it was a fake. And I'm like, oh. Because when they blew up the Capitol building, I'm like, no, they seriously did not do this while 9/11 is still fresh in everybody's mind.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm like, oh my God. I nearly had a heart attack when I first saw the movie. And so then it's like, Bowman, it's a fake. Yeah, I see it, John. Oh my God. So everybody's basically now scrambling. And Farrell is like, you know, when I heard of the concept of a fire sale, I thought it would be pretty cool. I mean, just hit the reset button and everything, man. And so John McClane snaps him out of his little pity party. And he's like, look, dude, you're not there is no reset button. These are people scared in their homes. This is a country. It's not a freaking game. It's not a video game or any of that shit. Now, if this was your fire sale, what would have to happen next? They would have to cut utilities next. But utilities are not on the grid. They have to be cut manually. So while they're talking about this, the cyber terrorists are literally at Woodlawn, which is known as the Social Security Administration main building, and the Middleton, West Virginia, where the entire Eastern Corridor, their main power hub is. So you take out that, you take out the entire Eastern Corridor of power. It goes dark. And I'm thinking, why is it so easy for these people? And we will learn later on why it's so easy for them. No, they're not related. I thought they were. Soul says, good to know that you found that out. So it's like, oh my God, dude, did they just seriously make it that easy? So, McClane explains to Farrell the cost, or they're heading down to Virginia. And they have to steal this car. And freaking Farrell acts like his dad or uncle is like just about to have a heart attack and die. And he gets a hold of the OnStar people and he's like, please, we just need to start the car. I can drive it there, yada yada. It's like, okay. So yeah, he freaking convinces them to start a car. He's also been complaining that he has low blood sugar. And there is a Snickers in there, so it's like, okay, there you go. That's why he's not complaining about being hungry anymore. Snickers stops the hunger. So then he's like, why do you do it, man? Why do you keep being the hero all the time? He's like, I ain't a hero. I'm just a cop doing the job, man. And you want to know what heroes get you? Heroes get you nothing. They get you a pat on the back and a big target on your back, too. You get divorced. Your kids don't want anything to do with you. That's the cost of being a hero. So why do it? Because nobody else will. Or because nobody else is able to right now, and I'm the only one who can. So that's why I do it. I'm not a hero. I'm just doing what's right. Well, that's what makes you that man. And that comes to play on later on. And that is such a great scene, too, in the car where he's basically explaining, yeah, I've done all these heroic things in my life, but what have they really gotten me? Divorced, kids who hate me.
Kind of getting the John McClane memoirs going on there.
Exactly. He's basically telling you, being a hero is not all it's cracked up to be. People will fucking hate you, and there's no real recognition.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you guys think of the whole cyber attack and the Capitol scare?
Well, I quite enjoyed it myself. It's kind of like this movie has a really, and I don't know, I can't speak for the other ones because it's been quite a while since I've seen those ones, but it's good at rising tension. And like there's only little moments where they can stop and kind of quip or have conversation before like something gets more extreme. And it's kind of like one of those moments where you're like trying to grapple with what is happening around them, and then they see this video basically that's kind of been hacked, and it's like at that point they don't know what to expect, and therefore we don't know what to expect. And it's kind of like, you're there at the same moment, so to speak, I guess, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah. Caroline?
I think she dropped out. I think she...
oh, yep. She's in the back. Sorry, I was on the other screen for a second. And there you are.
My Wi-Fi went out for a moment. I had to go fix it.
Okay. So
what was the question again? I'm sorry.
We're going over the Capitol building blowing up scare where it was a fake. But what did you think about that whole scene where they pulled that trick on them?
I thought I was like, when I first watched it, I was like, oh my God. The very first time I watched it, I was like, that's a little too soon.
Yeah.
After 9/11. And I was like, okay, come on, guys. Let's not play on a public, a big tragedy that's happened in our country.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, it goes with the theme of the movie where they're trying to scare everybody into doing something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree.
So then they finally get down to the utilities building in Middleton. Nasanth, hello there. That's real time with Bill Maher. It came up on Google. Really? Wow, that's pretty cool. I'm on Google.
On Google.
Wow. So Yeah, that's cool. I'm on Google now.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna sit back and kind of ride that high horse for a second or two. Hope someone in our government saw the movie and declared to put plans to prevent an actual fire sale. Oh, believe me, after 9/11, they came up with safeguards. All those heroics caused him to lose his hair. Yeah, that too.
Let's just hope they didn't back it all up to one fucking building.
Yeah, no, like they do in here. I don't think
These
they do
idiots
though.
did.
Yeah. So they're like, or so they
Upload
get
it
in
to
there. Say it again.
They'll just upload it to their iCloud.
Yeah, I know, right? So they get into Milton, and it's freaking Maggie Q versus John McClane, or Maya, or Mai, or whatever her damn name is in the movie. And I just love that she starts using the kung fu shit on her, or on him, and he's like, "It's enough of this kung fu shit." And he just freaking gives her a beat down, man. He just literally beats the shit out of her. And I'm like, well, she is a freaking terrorist, so yeah, don't hold back. But it's like, oh my god. And then he drops a freaking cabinet or a huge cabinet full of stuff onto her. And it's like, oh my damn, dude. But then she gets up, kicks him out of the freaking window and down to the first floor again. So what does McClane do? He gets into a car, drives up into a circle while she's getting Matt to, or Farrell to undo what he did. And freaking McClane just drives right into her on the first floor and into an elevator shaft. That whole shaft fight was freaking nuts to watch. I'm like, oh my god, dude. What? And when she dies in that scene, it's like, whew, that's gotta hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt like a James Bond fight scene.
Yes,
Like,
it really did.
Yeah, it did.
yeah.
And I absolutely love what happens when Gabriel calls because Farrell sets an E-bomb onto him, and it's like, it's an E-bomb. And they're like, Mai, what's going on? Talk to me. Mai, is that skinny little Asian chick who likes to kick people around? McClane, didn't I kill you already? Yeah, I get that a lot. Last time I saw her, she was at the bottom of an elevator shaft with an SUV rammed up her ass. I'm like, oh, he went there.
Ouch.
Yep. And so they end up getting a picture of Thomas Gabriel, and Thomas Gabriel was in love with in love with Maggie Q's character. You see them kiss before she leaves for that place. And he's like, you have no idea who I am or what I'm capable of. You want to make it personal? Fine. He sends all the natural gas to that building. And I'm like, oh shit. And then they also sent the picture of Thomas Gabriel to Bowman, Cliff Curtis's character, and he's like, please no. Oh god, it's Thomas Gabriel. Who's Thomas Gabriel? He was DOD. He was my boss at one time, and he tried telling the Joint Chiefs of Staff after 9/11 that the U.S. was vulnerable and the infrastructure was unsafe. And when he tried to go public, they ruined him because they didn't want to listen. And ever since then, he's been off the grid. Basically, this gives you a little bit of background into who Thomas Gabriel is and his motivations. He basically wants vengeance on the U.S. government for basically crucifying him and turning him into a pariah.
Yep.
And so they're like, or after they escape from the natural gas explosions, they're like, oh my god, they watch the entire eastern corridor just start going dark. And so it's like, We need to find the warlock. We don't need to find the warlock. No, dude, you want me to help? This is me helping. We need to find the warlock. And how are we going to find this guy? It's probably the only house with the lights still on. And I'm like, okay. So they take the chopper and whatnot. It's like, yeah, they always say the hardest part's taking off. I'm like, he really got that wrong. Hardest part's landing. So they get to his house, and it's Kevin Smith. Folks, I like Kevin Smith in this movie. Gave her the shaft. Yeah, exactly. I like Kevin Smith in this movie, and I honestly think that he looked a lot better with some meat on his bones. Because now that he looks like an emaciated goblin, he just doesn't look right nowadays. But it's like, oh my god, dude. He's like, have you lost weight? No, man, I gained 30 pounds. Who the hell are you? He's like, dude, he's my dad. And he's like, why don't you bring your dad down here? And then he's like, nice poster. And he's looking at a picture of Boba Fett. He's like, oh, what, you a fan of the Fett? Yeah. Always been a Star Wars guy myself. Oh my god, dude. I just love that whole freaking thing. And so he's like, get out of here, man. He's like, look, dude, he's like, yeah, you wrote a mutating mathematical algorithm that Thomas Gabriel is using right now to do whatever the hell he's doing. So, you think I don't, or I've been trying to figure out what that is. And then he's like, hey, dude, I'm not his father. I'm a cop. He's like, oh, get out! And he starts kicking him out. He's like, no, man, you listen. This is my house. You're going to tell me everything I want to know, and I'm going to beat you to death in your own house. I've used that line on a person one time. Let's just say it works. Subjectively, 7.5 out of 10. As a moviegoer, I give it a 5.5 out of 10. Reason being, his daughter didn't need to be involved. Actually, I like that his daughter was involved because it added stakes to the movie.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And 5.5 is moviegoers' entertainment value alone. Subjectively is where you put your own biases in it. So yeah, but yeah. And so then they explain, or he's like, I just love the explanation he gives. He's like, Thomas Gabriel went into a Joint Chiefs of Staff meeting, and he told them our entire our entire country is vulnerable, but they're not having it. But this guy, he's committed, like how you read up on. So he takes a laptop into a meeting with the Joint Chiefs of Staff and hacks NORAD, shutting down our entire defense grid. They put a gun to his head and force him to stop the hack. Thomas Gabriel shut down our entire defense grid with a laptop. You think I'm afraid of you? Dude, I would be. He has a gun with him. But yeah, just to basically tell you that that's even more, or basically why he got crucified by NORAD, because he shut down NORAD. Now, for any of you people who don't know, NORAD, I believe, I'm going to have to look that up.
They track Santa every year. That's what NORAD is.
NORAD is basically it is built into the side of a mountain, and they basically control every nuclear site on the face of every U.S. nuclear site on the face of the planet that we have. And they also are the main way that we track our aircraft and our aircraft carriers and ships.
All right. NORAD, North American Air Defense Command.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah,
Binational Command for Air Defense against the Soviet bomb threat. Basically, it's to stop everybody else, it's to stop us from getting nuked.
Pretty much.
Look out for UFBs.
Yep. So yeah, Tim Oliphant's character, Oliphant, I love that name. It sounds like elephant, but it's Oliphant, like in Lord of the Rings. But anyway, he shut down NORAD with a freaking store-bought laptop. If that doesn't tell you that this guy is like one of the best hackers in the world, that should tell you something about you. That basically should say about you. If you don't know that this guy is one of the best hackers in the world, that should tell you that you really need to read up on hackers. Anyway, so they're like, can you tap into him and find out where he is? And he's like, we got a hack. Or and they're talking about Woodlawn, and he's like, yeah, the only place I've seen your algorithm is in this area. And look at, or notice how they shut down everything else except for the chilling towers. It's like, look at that place. It's running hot. And they're like, what's a chilling tower? See what we're dealing with? Hey, it's impossible. How you doing? NORAD's important. 11 out of 10. Basically, yes. Reason why I'm not with her is because of that work. Good to know, Jake. But yes. So they hack into not NORAD. They hack into Woodlawn, and they do a background into who's hacking them, and they find out that it's Kevin Smith's character. And you then hear Gabriel's like, Freddy, what the hell are you doing in my system? I'm like, McClane, didn't I kill you already? I was like, yeah, you tried. Well, and he covers up the camera. He's like, can you try to trace where he is? I was like, yeah. Detective, covering the camera does not turn off the microphone. Yeah, true, but I mean, I may not be as good with all this computers and technology shit, but you know what? I'm still alive. Here I am. And he starts, so what?
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah. And so he starts going at him, trading barbs and whatnot. And then he's like, really? And so he finds McClane's daughter, and he literally watches McClane, or he forces McClane to watch him, basically convince him that she needs help and that he's going to go get her and whatnot. And he's like, what? Cat caught your tongue? Come on, John. Say something funny. I mean, that's how it's like, dude, not only did you just push the McClane button and every other button that will piss off any father whose kid is about to be endangered, but it's like, oh, damn.
I'd say, unlike another father, John McClane has more than one set of particular skills.
Yeah. You piss off daddy, you're going to die, especially if you endanger his little girl. So they actually go and get her, and they also find out that he's at Woodlawn doing all this stuff. And they basically take Freddy's El Camino, and I gotta say, the coldness in which Gabriel actually handles the situation because of losing his girlfriend and whatnot, it's like, yeah, I don't want to mess with this guy, especially me, because I'm just a nobody. But I love how she's like, or FBI, ma'am, heard you needed trouble. Mind if I see some ID? Force a habit, my dad's a cop. Yeah, no, and whatnot. Your dad sounds like a real smart guy. So they get her, and the guy's like, this bitch is a real handful. And so she freaking just punches him. They get her down in her chair, and the guy just freaking slaps her, and he's like, hey, are you going to be okay? It's like, because I'm like, oh my god, dude, you slapped her because she got the better of you? What the hell's wrong with you smacking her kid around?
Pretty much, you know.
But she's a firebrand.
He's pretty much throwing a fit like a little kid, so.
Yeah, she's a firebrand. She's like, oh yeah, let me go and let's take a step outside. See who hurts who. Tie her wrists. I was like, oh my god, dude, I just love it. So,
she could probably easily wipe the floor with him, quite honestly.
No, he would probably kick her ass. He's not just a nerd. But anyway, so while this is all going down, Cyber Division is back up working inside their building because all the buildings in Washington, D.C. had their anthrax alarms go off during the first stage of the attack. And then they got cleared. So anyway, DHS and the White House liaison are there discussing that Woodlawn's been infiltrated and that and it must be him, it must be Gabriel. And so Bowman hears this. He's like, and what is Woodlawn? And so they explain to him that Woodlawn is the financial backup hub for the entire U.S., hence why Gabriel targeted it. And it was designed that if there was any attack on our nation's infrastructure, it would basically all of the money, our accumulated wealth, would be sent to Woodlawn. And he's like, how did Gabriel know about Woodlawn? He designed it. It's his. And it's like, oh my God, you guys actually used somebody who you completely ousted and whatnot. You used their actual freaking, oh, you are freaking dumbasses.
Mm-hmm.
No wonder he knew. And that is exactly why he did what he did, because he knew all the money would go there. Now, McClane and the kid split up after they get to Woodlawn. And one of the guys the guy that kidnapped his daughter goes to fight McClane, and McClane throws him down some stairs and gets on the radio, and he's like, or he makes him think that he actually shot the guy when the guy tries telling him where he is. And it's like, oh shit, did McClane just seriously kill this guy? And he's like, now I'm coming for you. And I'm like, oh shit, dude. That is like one of the things that I don't ever want to freaking get on his bad side, because he just wasted a dude. But then you see him, he didn't really waste the guy. And I'm like, whew. Hold on, I need to. Oh, wait, yeah. So, while this is happening, Farrell gets down, uses his own, or figures out that his own this is where his algorithm was put into use, and then he puts up a firewall, or an encrypted firewall, over the last gate to getting the money. And then he gets, and while McClane, so what?
I was saying Gesundheit. Just
yeah. So then McClane is talking with Gabriel, and he's like, it's better that I'm doing this instead of some terrorist and whatnot. And he's like, bullshit, man. It's all about the money. It's always ever been about the money. Well, shouldn't I be paid for my work? I'm working my ass off here, John. He's like, yeah, don't worry, asshole. I'm coming with a check. And so he puts the radio to his daughter. He's like, talk to him and see if you can get him to focus. Dad? Hey, baby. Now there's only 5 of them. And I'm like, oh, shit. This girl's
Can we
got
say
balls.
toasted?
This girl's got balls. But she actually, Gabriel gives her a whack because, like, God damn it, you little bitch. And he smacks her pretty damn freaking hard, too, man. This basically shows you he's not willing, or not willing to play, or he's not going to play nice.
Yeah, that's character right there,
Yeah.
It's an individual who's not afraid to smack women and look horrible about it.
Exactly. So then they all get ready and go mobile and get into a little hazmat truck. McClane gets into the big truck that they were using to stay mobile and whatnot. And he contacts Freddy with the frequency 666. There ain't nobody here by that name. Hacker, jerk off! Warlock, I need you to do what you do and get me into contact with Director Bowman. He's like, you want me to willingly go or get a hard line between or with the head of the FBI cyber division? I don't think so. God damn it, Freddie, they got my daughter! And it's like, he actually has to think about it. He's like, yeah, that's something I can do. Or, I can do that. And so he gets it. And McClane is basically, he's going for broke in this moment. He's like, track their car. I'm going to try to go in and I'm going to get my daughter. And if something does happen to me, I want you to promise me that you will get my girl out of there. And he's like, we'll do what we can, John. I want your word, Bowman. You have it. Now, during this whole time, an F-35 was sent to investigate Woodlawn. Now, for those of you who don't know, the F-35 is actually a pretty interesting piece of hardware. It is the fighter jet of our nation. It's not the best one, in my opinion, but it's basically like a Harrier as well as a frickin' Speedy Gonzales of jets. I don't know everything about it, but the movies just make them look so cool.
It is actually one of the few that has broken the sound barrier and gone faster. I think it was, I forget what Mach it goes to, but I know it goes above a Mach 5. And it has an engine in the top part. When you watch the movie, you see the top of the airplane open up, which allows it to hover, and it can also land and take off in that position. It also carries a wide variety of ammunition
and ordnance. Yep, it's basically it's a tank of a freaking fighter jet, folks.
Pretty much.
And so while they realize that McClane's coming for him in the big truck, he's like, "Did you get the go codes for that or for the F-35?" He's like, "Yeah." So they contact the F-35 and sick it on McClane, and he's like, "You're shooting at the wrong guy!" And he freaking is going up the bridge like, "Get on your jet!" I'm like, "Oh my god, dude!" Seriously, I just love how he does it. It's that entire sequence with the F-35 versus McClane in a goddamn truck. I'm like, how does this man live through everything?
It's like the one scene in this movie where it was just slightly a little bit too unbelievable for me. Like,
exactly.
Else, I could be like, okay, you know what? In some extreme version, I can see him doing this. But then, like, some of the tricks in that helicopter scene were just so gratuitous, like, the Furious level.
And I'm like, oh my god, how does he do it? How do you do it?
Well, he woke up in the morning, had a cup of American coffee, stepped out the door, and he was ready for everything.
That's one way of thinking about it. And so then,
maybe he's just one of those people you can't kill.
Possibly, yeah.
He's unbreakable. There you go.
There you go. Yeah. And he's so then he gets he manages to cause enough damage to the freaking F-35 because the F-35 was also blasting the shit out of that damn overhang and bridges and whatnot, and ends up crashing it itself. So then he gets out and he manages to get to where Gabriel, his daughter, and Matt are. Gabriel's like, "We are leaving in 3 minutes. You have 1, and I'm going to count to 10." Or he's like, "The rules haven't changed, man. And the second I unlock it, you're going to kill me." And so he shoots him in the leg, and he's like, Matthew, I need you to focus now. And if you don't do this, I'm going to shoot her. And so he puts the gun up to Lucy, and she's pretty much scared at this point. And so it's like, so while he's doing it, another person comes in, and his hacker is about to load up the money. He gets shot by McClane. McClane comes in, guns ablazing and whatnot, but then has a draw on Gabriel, but Gabriel has his daughter, so he's about to hesitate. And the other guy shoots McClane, and it's like, oh, Jesus Christ. So Lucy tries stepping up and sliding the gun to her, but Gabriel's there to stop it. It's like, good move. Bad guy's smart. He's smart. So he then shoots at Matt to get the thing going, or to unlock the firewall. And he's like, McClane, I need you to stay conscious for the next few seconds. So because I'm done after he unlocks it, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill your daughter, and then I'm going to get out of here and be basically stinking rich and all that stuff. And what it should read on your tombstone is always in the wrong place at the wrong time. And then he's like, how about yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, and shoots it right through his freaking shoulder into Gabriel. And I'm like, that gun does have a lot of punch to it, so yeah.
Yeah.
That he would get shot or through and through and into him.
That's the funny thing is that's a 45.
Would it punch through?
Absolutely. It will punch through two people and the car behind him.
Nice.
Without a doubt. Depending on what ammunition he used. And since there was no exit wound that we could see, I would assume it was probably most likely a hollow point.
Yeah.
Which can do some serious freaking damage, even if it didn't kill him.
Yep. I'd say when I first saw this movie, I didn't even care.
Well, aren't those things designed to frag?
They're designed to mushroom and curl, which causes maximum damage when it goes through the any sort of human body or animal. It mushrooms, and it's got like these claws to it. So as it speeds through the body, it just rips and tears and destroys. That's why they're so hard to repair. It's so hard to repair a hollow point gun wound. Sorry, not too much about that.
It's okay. Hey, it's okay. The more people know about stuff, the better, in my opinion, when it comes to certain things.
Small entrance wound.
Yeah.
About the exit wound is about the size of a $50. So where you have a little itty bitty entrance wound that's about the size of, say, a dime.
Yeah.
You've got one that's the size of a on the back, but the exit wound is about the size of $50. So it's pretty good size.
Yeah. And I imagine it's larger when it goes through the body, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
So then the FBI basically gets in there. This basically is the wrap up of the movie. And Lucy and her father are together in one ambulance. They're looking at Matt, and he's like, should I put my hands up? Put my hands down? Down like that? He's like, no, just let me read your freaking findings. He's like, he's probably going to die of shock on the way to the hospital. And he's like, yeah, go talk to him. Okay, I'll go talk. How you doing, kid?
She doesn't even have to say anything. She just gives him the look.
Yeah, she's like, yeah. He's like, oh, right. So he's like,
it's like, fine.
Yeah. And he's like, so how you feeling? Pretty good, actually. They gave me something. What's it called? Morphine. Morphine, yeah. I mean, feel great. I mean, wish I could get shot more. He's like, well, now you got your merit badge. I don't even know what that means. He's like, chicks dig it. Or chicks dig scars. Yeah? And he looks at his daughter. Not that one. I don't know, man. I thought we had a vibe. And he's like, there wasn't. Plus, I'd hate to have to beat you to death. And he's like, so before he goes and before he closes the door, he's like, thank you for saving my daughter. He's like, well, what else was I going to do? That's what makes you that guy. And so then he gets back to his daughter, and she's like, so did he say anything about me? Lucy, come on, man. I'm already in enough pain as it is. And she's like, what? I mean, I was just... I'm like, oh my God, that would have been so freaking funny in the fifth movie, because you see her in the fifth movie once, I believe, in the extended edition. Yeah, in the extended edition, you see her, and It would have just been so funny if she actually gets together with Farrell.
That would have been.
Yeah.
That would have been so freaking hilarious. So that actually leads up to the end of the movie and whatnot. And we're going to get into the scoring section of the stream. So, AFK, how would you score Live Free or Die Hard out of 10 after your doggy is done barking?
Sorry, he's got great timing.
Yeah. We'll let Goth Girl score it, or give her scores.
As a moviegoer, I'd probably give it a 5.
Not that entertaining?
It's entertaining enough to say, hey, I like, if you like action movies, that's a good thing. But as a, on the other hand, I would give it a 8.5.
Okay.
I thought some of the scenes were kind of hokey.
Fair assessment.
But then again, it is a Die Hard movie, so you kind of got to expect some hokiness.
Yeah. So that's a fair assessment. Moviegoers, by the way, for people who are, because yes, you and your husband did kind of mix it up. Moviegoers, where you're basing the movie on entertainment value alone. You're not critiquing it in any shape, way, or form.
I stand by my moviegoers. Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So, AFK, how would you rate it?
I'm trying. I don't know. When I would guess I would say that I rank it at like an 80 or 90. I'm fluctuating. I think I'll go with 90. Yeah, or 9. I guess 9.
Yeah, 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Mostly, I don't know. I kind of owe this movie, or like feel like I have a slightly different perspective because I saw this first as a kid before I saw the other Die Hard movies. It was kind of like that's weird. There's 3 others before this because I just saw the movie trailer for it. So when I watched it, it was just like, to me, it was just like a really cool like action movie with like these characters doing these things, and it was like it danced between like the buddy cop type action movie and like the the more like I don't know, actiony stuff. Like it had like a fine balance to me, I think. And I don't know, and it was also made for a great holiday movie. So
yeah, it was. It did take place on the 4th of July. So yeah.
And going back and like seeing the other 3 movies in retrospect kind of gives it a different perspective again for me, in the sense that I can like now see like what you were talking about earlier, how you can see how McClane's come along in his like character development, and they did a really good job of writing that, and also having him with the character that he actually has to be softer and kinder with than how he generally interacts with people in his movies. Like he's always yelling, shouting, and like swearing in these other movies, but like he actually has to like give Matt, that's Matt, right? Like encouragement to like do certain things and like give him like, I don't know, I got a kick out of his pep talks. So I don't know, like it just felt like a nice wholesome like action movie to me. And I don't know, as far as like connecting it to the Die Hard movies, it's really hard for me to do that because I do have that kind of disconnection.
And that is actually a fair assessment too, because the way I see it, or when I gave my brief reviews, I do reserve the right to amend my scores. Where I did think, or I think I said that in my brief review, this movie is about 8. I would actually objectively drop it down to a 7.5 because there is a disconnect. This or the last movie or the other movies do not really come into play here, except for a couple throwbacks, one or two here or there, where he says "yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker," and then there's also a Fed that he's going with named Johnson, which is a direct callback to the first movie with Johnson and Johnson there, and so yes, those are.
The thing I find funny is the officer John, or the Fed named Johnson.
Yeah.
He's actually plays Tuvok in Voyager.
Okay.
Who is a Vulcan. And still has that mindset in that movie, which is kind of funny.
Alrighty.
He's typecast.
Yeah. So, yes, this movie does have a slight or a bigger disconnect to the first three, and that's probably why a lot of people do have a gripe about it. They ever say what happened to Sam Jackson's character from the last movie? No, they don't, because this movie takes place like 15 years or so after the last one. I mean, it's like 12 or 13 or 14 years. So that's, or people were like, we want another Die Hard movie, and they're like, okay, we'll give you another Die Hard movie, and that's what happened with this one. Now, objectively, yes, it's about a 7.5, where subjectively, it is my favorite Die Hard movie. I actually would put this at around a 9.5 to 10. Now, moviegoer, it is a 10 because I was thoroughly enjoyed all the way through. Or moviegoers, you don't break it down. It's based on were you entertained? How entertained were you? Is basically how I do my moviegoer. So yeah,
I like sitting at the edge of the seat and like just being there in it, you know.
Yep, and that's basically what I liked about it too. It gave you that. It gave you that way of being interested and really into the movie. Also, McClane does retain his kind of immaturity when he's yelling about people. When he was fighting that guy in that frozen area, he's like, "Goddamn little hamster." He was like, "Yeah." I mean, it's just a great movie. That is great action. Yes, there are some digital problems with it. Yes, there are some lighting issues with it. What movie doesn't have problems, especially if it's a Len Wiseman movie? But I still liked it to the point where it's like, yes, this is my favorite Die Hard movie. Now, don't get me wrong, folks. Die Hard 1 is always going to be the greatest Die Hard movie objectively, but subjectively, I like Live Free or Die Hard better than the previous movies.
I have this weird love for 80s like feels to like these movies. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, like the very first Die Hard movie is just like, it feels small and contained, and like you can feel like the restrictions of that time period in it, and the like real dedication to trying to make it look as like authentic as possible, you know, to make up for that. And I feel like the other movies, you know, systematically lost that. So like if I were to look at them in the sense of like the heart, I guess, of what Die Hard is supposed to be, and the fact that that is the first movie, I would have to say I feel like that is the best one. And you know, in a sense, when you say, man, you have to see Die Hard, you don't generally say you have to see all of the Die Hard movies, right?
Yeah.
But I think that I enjoyed the Live Free or Die Hard movie more, and just like, you know, the sense of just eating popcorn and whatnot. But yeah, I agree. Like the first one is like its thing too.
And you're absolutely right. It does have that kind of feel to it. So with that, folks, that is going to conclude this discussion stream. Thank you very much for joining, both Caroline and AFK. Stay tuned in 2 weeks when we tackle, or when me and the rest of the panel discuss the last installment, It's a Good Day to Die Hard, where he and his son, and this is not the best movie, but it's his son this time is in this one. And he goes to Russia. Russia! Anyway. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Soul Assassin, Price is Right, Tim Possible, Fenrir, Fire, Jake, Charlie Moon.
Yes.
Miojawalt Nasanth, JM2 or M2021. Who else was in here? Thomas Gilkey, thank you also for stopping by. And yeah, there's other people. Plus, it has an Alan Rickman in the first movie. Dude, make any movie more awesome. Yes, indeed.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, folks, that is going to be the last or all there is. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay tuned for 2 weeks from now. Also, and next week is going to be the next versus stream. So yeah, which is going to be Mara Jade versus Ahsoka Tano. And that's going to be the same time, 9 p.m. So yeah, and if you're catching this on the replay, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What did you think of the movies, or especially of this movie? Did you like it? Did you not? All that stuff, folks. Anyway, this has been Orange Hat Reviews and Panel. Have a good one. And always remember to stay humble. Plus, tomorrow will not have the full Aussie. The full Aussie will be Sunday morning. Just want to let you guys know. So, all righty. Take it easy, folks.